School. I think about 4 years ago, I decided to start this concept of morning school. And it started as an idea just for my mentees because my aim was to build them through the process of building high level self-discipline and execution. And this idea of morning school was from a personal experience, not just, a theoretical idea, because by some, you know, I don't know if I should say revelation or because of hunger to be different and to do something at a higher level, in about 2011 or so, I discovered the power of waking up early. And I wake up early, sometimes 3 a.m., sometimes 4 a.m. And in those times, sometimes I used to sleep just for about 3 hours, when purpose is calling on you. And I'll spend a lot of time studying. I will literally study from 6 p.m. sometimes to 11 p.m. Then I go to bed and I wake up sometimes at 2 a.m. and I study till about 6 a.m. before I go to work, right? So that the idea of morning school came from that perspective because one thing about, being able to know how to wake up early, number one is that it teaches you how to put your body under subjection. You see, I wrote an article sometimes talking about defeated kings. And who is a defeated king? A defeated king is a potential woman or man who has the ability to command influence, not just at the local level, not just at the national level, but even at the global level or at the continental level. But yet that person is still at the small scale. And one of the major things that defeated kings in the early empires, like 500 years ago, 400 years ago, was that they discovered that kings that were defeated at the time, they did not know how to tame their appetite. Show me somebody who can be able to tame the appetite of, let's say, food, the appetite of sex, and the appetite of the kind of comfort their body loves. I will show you somebody who will do mighty things in their generation. Because one of the major things that keeps people defeated in their generation is that appetites are more powerful than their calling. Comfort is more powerful than their destiny. So the concept of this morning school was to train those who are my mentees at then, many of them are still my mentees today, is to, because I noticed in my life that when I mastered how to control when I wake up when I want and when I go to bed when I want, it affected my productivity at a high level. You see, I started lecturing MBA students and master's degree students, both on-site and online, when I did not have an MBA certificate at the time. Not now when I have a doctorate degree. Because at the time when I was waking up very early, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. to just study, I was reading a lot of business books and trying so many things at my level at then. So I was able to master and build strategies that even contextualize them to the Cameroon market and African market. And the way I will talk about this, the way I write about it, universities started inviting me to come, deliver these sessions to their students who are master's students and MBA students at the time when I didn't have, what you need to have in order to teach at that particular level. And the power of, again, so number one, when you are able to master your morning, you train your body to tame your appetite. That means you can delay gratification for the sake of destiny. You get the concept? Many people are still very defeated every morning because their bed, the comfort of their bed is more powerful than the destiny that they're supposed to chase. And since with that mindset, when they meet, let's say, you know, they can easily get into a sexual situation that can destroy their destiny because they don't have the discipline to tame that appetite. the alcohol can easily control them because they don't have the discipline to tame that appetite. So they end up being what I call defeated kings or defeated influential people who don't end up manifesting their destiny. So that is where I'm saying this for those who are joining for the first time, but this is not the first time we're having morning school. This is like a 4 to 5 years program that we used to have. There was a time where we had this program for 30 days. 30 days every day. People wake up. That time it was even 3:30 a.m. About 100 people will show up at 3:30 a.m. and I'll coach them from 3:30 a.m. to 5 a.m. Right? And till today, I still receive feedback and testimonies and people being so grateful for that 30 days program because it was like a hacking program, right? If you are here and you need a 30 days program like this, let me know. You know that you have not been putting in your best. You know that you are a chief procrastination officer. You know that you don't have that drive. You don't have that purpose driven atmosphere around you. You know that there's more you can do, but you are not able to put in the best way you're supposed to put in, right? I'm thinking that within this year, we're going to do a 30 days morning school where we get up every morning, 4 a.m. like this, and I would do coaching sessions on different things for those who are interested again. And of course, it will be a mind-blowing program. So, in yes, Clarence was there. Yes, I see you, Clarence. Who else was there? Who else was there? If you were in that 30 days program, let me know. Who else was in that 30 days program that we did? I've forgotten the year. Which year was that, Clarence? 2018? All right. Yeah, I know that for those who are not, yes, sorry to say. Now, in this recent morning school, we now have people from different countries. I think there are about more than 8 countries here right now. So for those who are in different countries, when I say 4 a.m., I'm talking about Cameroon time. Okay. For those who are in different countries, I understand that you cannot catch up. So your main goal will be to catch up with the content, but maybe you will not be able to be part of the discipline of following live. But if you can, fine. But if not, you catch up with the recorded content when we make it available. And you can try on your own to train yourself to wake up 4 a.m. your time and leverage on that time. And it has been proven that there is a way that your brain works at a very high level during that time. You see, the most important things I have done in my life, I don't do them at any time because any time between 12 a.m. and 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., those times, if you truly rest, right? That's why if you have important things to do and you want to hack your brain at the highest level, go to bed early, wake up within that time, put some work. You'll be amazed at the quality of your brain and the things that you can create at that particular level. You see, so many people are here who were in that morning school. All right, good. Now, the purpose of this 4 days morning school, because I got so many feedback from different people, because recently I've been sharing a lot about um, skill monetization and knowledge monetization and things like that. Because I started talking about that because I noticed that many people don't know the kind of economy that we are in. We are in the knowledge economy. We are in the content economy. And if you are in this generation between now and the next maybe 30 years or so, if you don't understand the game of knowledge, and not just knowledge acquisition and deployment, but the game of knowledge monetization, you will be very defeated in this generation. And I noticed that many people are totally kind of ignorant of how it works or totally abstract of how they can be part of this economy. You see, so it's very important to begin to understand, right? And I always fondly say that many of us say we read the book by Adam Smith years ago in secondary school, and he was talking about the factors of production, where he spoke about entrepreneur, capital, land, and things like that. And I always fondly say that if Adam Smith was alive today, when he's rewriting that book, he may likely begin to add that Having a strong digital platform presence and content is also a form of capital, because capital is anything that can enable you to make more money or to create more value and make more money. For example, you see, I've been able to travel more than 18 countries to the four continents to do the things that I do. And majority of these people that have seen me just on a content online. That means somebody passes through my LinkedIn profile or Facebook profiles or follows me for a while. And when they have something that they need somebody in my skill, they reach out to me, they hire me, and they pay me. You see the ripple effect. So, and if I did not know how to leverage either a platform and then tap into the knowledge economy and create the right content, I may miss out on money making opportunities and career elevation opportunities that could have keep on advancing my life. You see, so one of the things I'm hoping that we're going to achieve in these 4 days of morning school, these are things that I'm going to teach here that I provide one-on-one consulting at very expensive prices. Trust me. But I'm going to give it out here as much as possible, right? For those who want to run with it, they can run with it. But I know what I'm saying, and I know that if you master the things I'll tell you and put it to work, for many people, it can be an everlasting shift in your destiny, because it is one of those single skills that you should know how to do. If not, you'll be a follower for the rest of your life. And followers always struggle. Followers live hand to mouth. Followers, now I'm not talking followers in terms of like working for somebody per se, but like your mindset and the quality of your knowledge and skill set makes you a follower in your dispensation. You're not an active economic player. There's a concept I was teaching on as in every economy, in every nation, in every time in history, I always say that there are two major types of people. People who are ignorant economic players and those who are active economic players. And anybody who is an ignorant economic player is always a follower in their generation. You see, and one of the things I will teach here for the next 4 days will help you to begin to understand how you can be that active economic player in whatever that you're doing. So today, I want us to look at something very important, which I title, I want to go deep into this. I did share this as an article some time ago, some weeks ago, some days ago, I don't remember. But I was talking about the power of shifting your self-image in your industry. Now, I want to start with this because if you don't understand how this works for you, every other strategy or every other thing that I will try to teach you in the next 4 days, you may not make good use of it because you don't have the right professional self-image to be a player in your industry. And now, for those who are not familiar, when I say industry, I am talking about the sector where you play. And I always say that the first step to you being somebody who will succeed in destiny, who will succeed in purpose, who will succeed in your lifetime is identify the key industries that you'll be a player in. That's one of the major first things that you must identify. Because in my experience of providing training and coaching, I've noticed that this is one of the major reasons why people fail and they are not able to live their best lives in terms of creating impact, influence, and income. Because many people have not ascertained that as a person, as a professional, as an entrepreneur, I play this game of life, this game of value creation in these industries. And in this dispensation, unlike 50 years ago, you could use one industry and succeed. 50 years ago, a teacher could be just a teacher in the education industry alone and still be successful. But now, if you do that nonsense, you'll be a very broke, struggling, failed teacher. You need to do what I now call industry stacking, where you need to identify what are the top two, three industries that I must be good at, I must be a player in order to win as an individual, as a professional in my industry. So as a teacher, you start looking, okay, so as a teacher, I'm already in the education industry. Which other industry do I need to start today's in order to succeed better? Probably technology. You're a teacher in this dispensation, you need to become what they call ed tech, education and technology. So you need to look at, okay, I must not only be a teacher in the education industry, but I must also find how to merge education and technology to do more, to do faster, and to impact more people. If you want to go a step ahead, you can find another industry and add to that. Maybe you can decide and go into, let's say, personal finance and say, oh, maybe you have discovered that teachers around you, they struggle to experience financial freedom. And you discover that maybe you have some finance savvy knowledge and experience. You can quickly learn things about finance. You can dip into that and now balance education, technology, and finance. Then you're going to win in this generation. What I'm also saying is that if you're here and you're a player just in one industry, you will keep struggling to catch up. You keep struggling to build. So many of you may need to practice industry stacking. Apart from the industry where you're currently playing the game now, what other industry can you add? Because unlike 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 20 years ago even, you could pick one industry, build a career, make a good life, create impact, and you're fine. But now, if you're only in one industry, I guarantee you, you will remain small, you will struggle and end up nowhere and totally missing in this generation. Are you learning something already? Is this transforming you already? One thing about morning school is that I always give that we're going to focus on this, but I end up springing through key areas that sometimes I did not anticipate, right? So, but like what I just shared now, it's not these things are not in my notes, right? They are just introductory perspective that I'm still bringing here. But please, many people here may need to start thinking of industry stacking and practicing it. If you need, you can not hire, you can book a one-on-one session with me and I look at where you're coming from. I can look at where you're coming from because I do a lot of research in that area and consultation in that area. I can look at where you're coming from, look at your passions, look at your purpose, look at your current skill set, and I can recommend, okay, based on where you're coming from and where you are right now, you should add these industries in this, and I can create an innovative learning curriculum for you to know how to learn to grow in those industries, right? So, but today I want to talk about shifting your industry self-image, right? So that long introduction on industry came because I used the word industry here. Now, it is very important that as a professional in this industry or in any industry where you play, as an entrepreneur, a business owner, some of you here, you own social enterprises. I don't like the word NGO. I prefer, so if you're here throughout this session and I use the word social enterprise and you run an NGO, I am talking about an NGO or non-profit organizations, or Cameroon have associations, CIG, whatever in your country. But if I use the word social enterprise, I'm talking about people in that class. So there is something known as industry self-image. And I began to understand this and do some research and analysis and practicing this. And I understood the power of this. And also from the perspective of spirituality too. You see, because if you have been in my other communities, you understand that when it comes to what you build, you see, in the work I do as a consultant, as a trainer, I have been exposed to many things. And one of the major things I discovered early on is that nobody rises in life in terms of marketplace dominance without spiritual backing. Whether you agree or not, you are arguing based on your level of exposure and your level of knowledge and resolution, which is fine. But you see, when you start rising, there are things that you understand that, hey, what you celebrate at the top, the people that you honor at the top, they didn't just rise to the top by strategy. So, me developing this concept of shifting your industry self-image is like balancing both professional knowledge and spiritual knowledge to form what I'm about to teach you guys today, right? Because there's a testimony, there's a story I read from first-hand story from someone, and he said there's a guy who was very intelligent in a company, and the board decided to make him the CEO of the company, big company, large corporation. It's in an African country. I don't want to call the name. And on the day of his taking over as the CEO and appointment, he noticed that the board members he used to meet in the strategy room or in their board meeting sessions, they came dressed different. And that time, they also came with, what you can call a chief priest per se, right? Or a native doctor or what have you, or an occultic leader. And when those people came, they started cutting their thumb, like cutting their thumb here and putting blood in a calabash. And the goal was that after the end, he would drink. So his appointment ceremony as the CEO in the boardroom was an initiation into the court. And they assumed that he knew. And they assumed that, he'll be part of it, like he would like it. So fortunately for the guy, he was a very spiritual person from the kingdom of God, right? So he prayed, and a major wind entered that boardroom and scattered the calabash, and different things happened and so on. I'm just sharing the story. Another thing, you see, we have developed strategy for top people, top somebody one time, and the person said, I have heard you guys, Dr. Joybert, but you see, I have to conduct my spiritists before I make this business decision. So there are things that we have seen, right? So what am I saying? I'm just trying to, so that you understand when I start teaching on shifting your self-image, you understand why I'm trying to balance spiritual depth and professional depth, because the two go together if you're going to win in the marketplace, right? Because it is possible to work hard and see nothing with the works of your hands. You see, because if hard work alone was the pathway to high level impact and influence and dominion and wealth creation and prosperity, basically everybody should be doing fine. But unfortunately, a bigger percentage of the society globally is still either in the lower class or living hand to mouth in the middle class. Just a very small number, maybe just about maybe 9% or 10% maximum, they're in the very, very upper class, or what they like to call the top 1% in the society, and so on, right? Now, if you're gonna be that professional that you can monetize your skill, because that is the core of our 4 days morning school program, which is profitable skill monetization. If you're gonna tap into that which you have and monetize it at the highest level, and anytime I say at the highest level, I am talking about at the global landscape. That means your skill becomes so good that you are serving people across different nations, right? If you're going to operate from that level, there is a kind of a professional self-image that you must have, that must have the capacity to increase your ability to make more impact, wield more influence, and make more money. Let me say it again. So I'm not just talking about self-image in terms of, you know, good grammar or motivation. No, it's not. It's not a motivational idea. That's why I had to give you that little spiritual background so you understand where I'm going to come from. It is a self-image that when you do it right, it has the capacity to increase your ability as an industry player in whatever nation or continent you are, to increase your ability to make more impact, more influence, and of course, make more money as a professional. Because it has been proven over and over that as a professional and as a business person, you will never make impact and influence and begin to earn more beyond how you see yourself from the eye of the mind. And you want to go deeper from the eye of your human spirit. Because you, as a human being, you are three in one. There's a human spirit, there is your soul, and your soul talks about your mind, your emotions, and your will. And then there is your body that houses the soul and, of course, the human spirit. There is a way that, you see, there's a way that if you see yourself just through mental assent, it has not yet become a high level conviction. But when you begin to see yourself from your human spirit perspective, that this is who I am truly in terms of what I am sent here on earth to do in this industry, that dimension of revelation of yourself, it has the capacity to cause a shift in how you impact people, how you influence, and how you make money. Now, to stray a bit, I was teaching one time in another community where I lead, known as Kingdom Entrepreneurs and Professionals. And I was teaching them about the spirituality of high level relationships. And I asked many people in the community, and I said, how many of you in your journey in life so far have you come across very wealthy people, politicians, athletes, entertainers, people that are doing far better than you in terms of impact, influence, and wealth creation, and they give you their contact? They even take your contact, but that relationship dies a natural death. Anybody, have you experienced that? Have you met somebody like in your life? Type me in the chat box. So far, like in your journey so far, you came across somebody that even you felt that, wow, this is a very important contact. You know and you know. Anybody, type me in the chat box. Type me in the chat box. Please be active. Let me get some feedback. Good. Now, why did that relationship not materialize? Do you think it's not because you don't want it, and maybe you tried, and maybe you tried? You see, the concept, there are relationships at that level, because like I said earlier on, people at that level, they are very spiritual people, whether from the demonic sense or from the God sense, they are spiritual. And there's something known as spiritual frequency. You see, when you connect with people that make sense, people that are relevant, people that are commanding impact, influence, and wealth creation at a national level or global level, and they end up giving you their contact, that is not enough for that relationship to materialize. If you guys are not matching at the same frequency, it's not based on what you have, no. It is based on the frequencies spiritually and mentally that you are operating from that will keep that relationship. Because when there's a discrepancy in that frequency, it will die a natural death. They will not have a reason. There will be like a blockade between you and them. I know what I'm saying. Same as somebody who is in the same level of life with you, but that person over time, they have developed themselves to develop their mental frequency and their spiritual frequency, even though they don't have the money and the influence like that person. But because they are operating from that frequency, when they meet people like that, there's always a click. That's why drunkards hang around with drunkards. It's not that they like them physically, no. It's because there's a frequency that they relate with more spiritually that they may not even know. That's why thieves hang out with thieves. It's just a frequency that attracts them together. It's a vibration, right? So if you meet somebody of influence and impact, and that's what I tell people, never go meeting somebody of influence and you wear the conviction or the mindset that I am going to beg. Automatically, I guarantee you, that will not last. Or you're going with the perspective that I am the person to help. There is already what I call spiritual discrepancy there. And that relationship will not last. And you will not tap anything out of it because there is a major difference in the kind of frequency that you guys are operating in. They will not just find a reason to relate with you. You see, so when you meet people like that, before you are really approaching them, establish the fact that you are a contributor in what they are already doing. Communicate the frequency of a contributor. Communicate the frequency of somebody that I can also help you, even though you are more influential and more richer or whatever than me, but I have something that I can bring to your life or to your vision or to what you're building and contribute at a high level. So that contribution frequency now, you would just notice that they will have a strong reason to just like you, to just partner with you, to just give you responsibility, or they even step in to help you. You see that? So it is very important. I have a funny tradition where, because due to my work, I get to meet people that are doing far way better. It's a funny job. I said, this kind of work is so funny. It's a kind of job that you see somebody who is richer than you, more powerful than you, influential than you, but they call you sir, right? They'll say, they want to talk to you. They still get your ideas and perspective, right? That's why sometimes this work is more of a calling than just an excitement kind of thing, right? And so always sometimes they would like to give things, right? Like one of them, very influential man in Europe. I was talking to him. He sensed that I was not okay in terms of like this is that season in my life, and he said, "Send me an account number." Till today, I've never sent because I never want to send the frequency that I am a beggar. No, I always intentionally refuse from taking from those people. I prefer to ask help from a peer, from somebody in the same level with me and a friend, than somebody who is of higher. I want to be the one serving you, showing you that I have something that if you don't consume, you're going to miss out something in destiny. And that's how you rise. They can trust you at a high level and let me give you deals that they can never trust with anybody else. Because you have come from the place where they see that this guy, he has tamed his appetite. There are things that don't move him. He sees beyond. You see, he sees beyond the materials. There are bigger perspectives that he wants to get, right? So it's important. So being able, so look, I have had hundreds, even thousands of one-on-one coaching sessions and group coaching sessions like this. And I receive emails every day and WhatsApp messages every day, people reaching out to me, telling me their business problems, career problems, and things like that. And just from the way they sound, I already know that there are some things that, like somebody come to tell them, I'll give them a course to take. Take this course before we solve this problem. And when they take the course, they will see that while they're struggling in business or what they're building, they are the problem. Not the market, not the business, but they are the problem. Right? So if you get this shifting your positive or your self-image is going to shift a lot in what you do, right? So until you do the right things to shift how you see yourself, not from your physical eyes, not from your mental assent, from the eyes of your human spirit, until you shift how you see yourself, your impact, your influence, and your money will always obey your limits. It's a simple spiritual law. The kind of impact you make, the kind of influence you will create, and the kind of money you will make in your time will always obey the limit of how you see yourself through the eyes of your spirit. Some people have never risen at all because they try to see themselves just from their physical eyes and from mental perspectives and just based on some funny things that they see around them on social media, and they try to craft their lives and their image based on what they're just seeing naturally, and they never see themselves truly from that deeper dimension. So how do you upgrade this self-image, which is very important? And there are many of you here that you are in a place in life where you have bypassed what I always say. You're no longer struggling on what to eat, where to sleep, what to wear, and what to drive. You have passed that level, right? You clearly have what to eat, you know where to sleep, you have what to drive, and you have what to wear. Those things are no longer your problem. However, multiplication is your problem. Expansion is your problem. So you're comfortable because you now see that you have many of the things that many people in the lower class and some in the middle class don't have that you have. You start feeling as if you are doing well. No, you are not doing well, because if your eyes are open to see what you were supposed to do in your generation, in your time, you will see that you have not gone 5% of your true calling and your true manifestation. So for people at that level, you need to do this to shift that image. Because if you have been able to do that, it means you can do times 10 of where you are right now. For some people, we are just starting. The same game plan you have to do. So number one, audit the internal scripts that you have normalized. Audit the internal script that you have normalized. You see, and every average person has a normalized script, like a popular script that they have been running for so long, and that script is a lie, but it has become their identity. You see, there is a way that you can grow up in a struggling family, in a poor family. You can grow up in a particular neighborhood, in a particular town or city, and you develop certain scripts that you have so normalized that they have become your identity. You have become one with that script. And that script automatically limits the quality of what you bring to your generation. Some people now, that script begin to manifest in terms of, I am not ready. I am just doing my best. I'm just trying. I cannot charge that much. I cannot be the best. Many people have never seen themselves beyond the neighborhood where they grew up or the country where they grew up. And that is not your real identity. That is the normalized identity that you have developed as a result of the scripts that you grew up consuming that now defines who you are. So your current self-image is a borrowed self-image from the environment that you grew up in, not your real identity as ordained by your creator. You see, and this becomes your impact limitation, your influence limitation, your earning limitation. So you need to pay the price to rewrite the script, or you can stay so stuck and you cross 50 years, 60 years, and your true calling has never manifested. And let me give you one sign that you are going through this. You always have this deep desire that there's more in your life, there's more for you. Or you start having this deep dissatisfaction that where I am right now, this is not where I'm supposed to be, but you don't know what to do to move to the next level. It's a major sign that there's a real version of you, a real identity that is trying to manifest. But the point is, the script that you grew up adopting is more powerful, is more loud than your real identity. So there needs to be an auditing, a serious auditing. What are the things that you have normalized saying and believing, not just based on your current environment, but based on how you have grown up as a person? You need to audit it. Because if you don't do this, every other thing we'll teach in the next 4 days, you will receive them, but you will never execute them. Because those things need a particular type of person to execute it. Now, the second way to do this is, even though you have been running this old script of yours, in the journey of your life in the last 5 years or 10 years or 3 years, you have been able to record some successes, some wins, like some valuable things that you've been able to do as a person, like some real actual value that you have contributed either to your friends, to your family members, or to your community in one way or the other, whether you are paid or not. But the point is, even though you are not living your real identity and the kind of image that you have about yourself right now is not your real image, even though you are in that state, you have seen that in the last 5 years or 10 years, you have been able to create some successes or some wins that they may not be too loud, but you can pinpoint that this success, this value, this impact is significant. What that is telling you is that let me tell you something. Every success you have ever recorded now, till today, you're listening to me, I guarantee you, there is a version of you that if you build, can record that success times 10. That is why it has been proven that the most difficult million to ever make is your first 1 million. The next 10 million is very easy. You know why? Because you throughout making your first 1 million, you trained yourself, you audited yourself, you failed and you discovered things that don't work and you scrapped those wrong ideas away and developed new ideas. So anybody who has genuinely gone through the process of making their first 1 million has a 90% chance to make their first 10 million faster and within a shorter period of time. But somebody that was gifted 1 million can never repeat it. Right? Why? Because that win of making their first 1 million either in 10 years or in 5 years create a certain dimension of muscle, experience, insight, courage, and boldness that gives them the ability to make 10 million within a shorter period of time. So one way to begin to shift your self-image in this dimension is look at the last 10 wins, the last 5 successes that you have created, either directly in your life or in the life of somebody else or in the company where you work right now or in your current business right now. And use that as a benchmark and tell yourself that if I can do this, it means I can do this times 10 if I improve myself in these particular areas. You see, so if you have helped your clients, let's say to launch a business, let me see, George is here. George is is in my mentorship program. George runs an amazing recruiting company. So if George in the last 5 years in his recruiting company, he has helped, let's say, two NGOs to recruit two paying staff and two volunteers. Now, George being in the process of building up his self-image that can command higher impact and higher influence and higher income, he needs to train his human spirit, train his mind to begin to see that if I can help two NGOs in 2 years or in 1 year to do this, it therefore means that there is a capacity in me that I can help 10 NGOs in 1 year, recruit 10 employees and do this, and I'm able to make 20 million from these deals if I amplify this dimension of me. Are you getting the point? Because every success you've ever recorded is a feedback. It's not, you see, it's not for you to celebrate that you're doing well. No, it's for you to dig deep and say, wait, oh, if I can record this kind of success at this level where I am, in terms of knowledge capital, reputation capital, skills, network, what have you, then what kind of success will I be able to record if I triple who I am right now to a whole new level? You begin to shift that self-image. And before you know it, you begin to triple or even 10x the quality of your results. It's a powerful way to shift it, to move to a whole new level and produce more results. Number 3, it's a bit linked to 1 and 2, but it's when you come to a point where you make up your mind, I need to retire my old identity. There are many people here that needs to make that decision of retiring their old identity. Trust me. There's an old identity that you have maintained for so long that you need to retire that identity. You need to send that identity to sleep. There is an identity that you are running right now that is from your environment, from your high school, from even the church that you go, from your closest 5 friends. There is an identity that you need to retire. You see, for example, there's an identity that when you develop, you keep seeing yourself as somebody who is trying to make it in life. Meanwhile, if you keep living your life as I am trying to make it, you will never really make it. So you need to retire that identity and develop a new identity which communicates the fact that based on who I am becoming and based on my alignment with purpose and the principles of destiny, I am no longer trying to make it in life. I am on my way of making it in this life. I always say that one of the most powerful dimensions of freedom anybody can experience in this journey of life is to come to a point where even though they may not have all the money now, they may not have all the influence now, all the success they want now, but they have come to that realization that based on some things I have discovered in this journey of life, it is impossible for me to fail. Just give me time. It's a major way of freedom. It gives you peace and rest. You will never have a reason to compete or be jealous of anybody because you have come to that place of maturity, and it's both spiritual maturity and mental maturity that you operate from that level. Where you're no longer having anxiety about your future. You're no longer worried if, will I make it or not? No, you have passed that level. Because there are things that you know, there is a way you now live your life, and you and yourself and your God, you guys know that as far as making it in this life is concerned, that is a done deal. It's settled. I am going to make it no matter what happens. This happens when you retire your old identity and adopt a superior identity. So you can ask questions like, let me ask a question in the chat box and I use that as an example. Now, everybody give me feedback in the chat box and on YouTube. Comment the amount that you think if you have now, you will sort out all your problems. Comment. Like if you have it now, is it career problems, business problems, family problems, marriage problems, whatever? Give me an amount in the chat box. Then I'm going to ask you questions around it. Don't be shy. Go ahead. Go ahead. Do you have visions, dreams, projects you want to do? Total in that amount. Give the amount in the chat box. And it should also be a an assignment for some people. If you leave level, you don't have an amount of how much needs to come in for you to make major moves in life, you're not living life the right way in that direction. Give an amount that you need now. That if that amount enters your life now, based on where you are now, and the major things that here, and if you sort those things now, you will run life at a high level, right? All right, I see 10 million francs, I see 1.5, 50,000 pounds, I see I see $20 million. Good. Now, all of those are perfect based on where you are and based on the things that you need now to solve as problems. The Bible says money is a defense and says in the next line that wisdom is a defense. Now, the question I have for you is, would someone earning that amount per month think the way you're currently thinking? That's the first question I'm asking you. Imagine that someone who earns that money per month, are they thinking the way you currently think? Do they have the same thinking pattern, the way you currently think? We're talking about retiring your old identity. Now, second question. The person who currently makes that amount every month, do they speak the way you currently speak? Give me feedback in the chat box. Like the quality of their language. When they open their mouth to talk, even with friends, even with their spouse, even with colleagues, do they sound? Are you sounding like that person is supposed to sound? Can I explain why? Now, the last question. The person making the amount that you are currently making right now, or that amount that you want to make, the person making that amount every month, are they charging for value the same way you are charging for your value right now? Are they charging for their value the same way they're charging for the same way you are charging for your value right now? You can even go on and ask, do I even have the value to charge at that level? Good. Now, you now see why it's important to retire an old identity. Because your old identity, follow me carefully, this is very important. Your old identity will affect the way you think. And you never create value and make money beyond the level of your thinking capacity. Never. because your highest level of value will always be created based on your highest level of thinking capacity. That is why the people who make the money that you desire to make, they don't think like the way you're currently thinking. Number two, the way they speak. You see, have you noticed that people who operate in professions that require them to think at a high level and communicate at a high level, they get to make so much money? For example, musicians. For example, politicians. For example, actors and actresses. For example, speakers. The first day I was paid 2.5 million in a weekend, Saturday and Sunday, to speak. I said, my goodness, why didn't I start doing this when my mother gave birth to me? Right? Which other job could I have done in my life that somebody will pay me 2.5 million in 2 days for 2 hours of speaking? 1 hour on Saturday, 1 hour on Sunday, 2.5 million. Who on earth, which job can pay me that? Except either I'm a footballer or I am a musician to do a show or act a film at that level. But I'm taking you somewhere. I'm giving these examples, right? There are professors. There are professors that they make that much. You see, because these people combine two powerful dimensions of operations. Anybody who can think at a high level and communicate at a spellbinding level can always make a lot of money in any industry they are. That's why tech guys are making so much money. What is tech? It's the brain. They have trained their brains to think at a high level and then use code to create things that makes them billionaires. That's why I was asking that question, because in whatever you're trying to do, if you have not shifted your self-image to affect the way you think at a high level and the way you communicate value that you create at a high level, you will keep struggling. You see, so your own identity has the capacity to sit on your thinking ability to create high level value. It has the capacity. There are many of you here that you are making noise in the chat box right now. You are making noise in the comment section on YouTube right now. If this meeting was a physical meeting, we will not hear your voice. You will not contribute nothing. We will not hear your voice. You will disappear. That will say in Banso. Then some people will know what I'm talking about. You will disappear. We will never see you. Right? We will not see you in the crowd. You will get missing in the crowd. Right? Onyentongwasang means that, in Banso, most families, the houses have houses, nice houses like this, and then around the houses, there's always corn and things like that. So when you want to beat a child or you want to shout at the child, they just disappear and run into the corn, right? So that's the meaning of that, what I said. All right. So um, now, let me tell you something. I'm thinking of a better way to put this, but we are now in a generation where I created this concept in 2018, and I was saying that we are getting into an intense dispensation where if you don't know how to speak or communicate at a level I call 360 degrees communication level, how much you make in this generation will always be limited. I'm talking about written content, live content like this, virtual, same as live content, physical, recorded video, and all of those communications at those levels. Because one of the highest level of wealth creation that have been proven and is becoming more profound in this generation is to be able to communicate at the highest level as much as you can. So the challenge is your old identity, it has the capacity, of limiting your ability to speak from that dimension. And the last question I ask you is, the person making that money that you want to make right now, that you need right now, are they pricing like the way you're pricing? Many of you said no, right? And it's important because if you're not pricing the way you are supposed to price, based on the value you are creating, the money you want to make will not be able to come to you. So you need to pay the price to grow your ability to price at that level. You see, when I do one-on-one high-level coaching to business people and individuals, one of the things I always push them is that make sure you have a very expensive value you sell only to the rich. Make sure. Have a low offer, medium offer, whatever, but make sure you have a high offer that only a rich person can pay for. And discipline yourself, push yourself to go to where you can find them and present this value and get a sell. It is not just about the sell, but it is one major way to break an old identity and usher you into a new realm of manifestation. Do you know what it means? For you to make an amount of money that on a normal lifetime or on your normal schedule, on your normal routine of living, you can only make that money in 6 months. But you're able to make that money now in one day of selling value to an individual. Do you know how that will shift your identity forever? So I always tell people are in business. You're in business and you don't have a high level premium value that you can sell only to rich people, like the one that you know that some kind of people talk to you, they cannot pay for it. You don't bother telling them. And you know the kind of people that you need to pitch the value to get their attention so they can pay for it. So go for it. Go for it. Shift it. So this point three is retire your old identity. Many of us here, we need to retire our old identity. You see, many of us have identities that have limited us for the last 30 years, 40 years even, for older people who are here. But you can take the journey of retiring it. Using these questions that we have asked ourselves and begin to retire. How do you retire? We spoke about the thinking, spoke about how you speak. Immediately these two things begin to shift in your life, and identity is also shifting at the same time. Number 4, what is the fourth thing that you can do to develop that self-industry image that will enable you to create more impact, more influence, and of course, more income? Control what I call your reputation input. You see, reputation is not, it doesn't just happen overnight. It doesn't just happen out of nowhere. No, there is something I call reputation input. Everything you have right now as reputation, there are major things around you that contributed that reputation. And when you don't control the things that come into your life and have a direct effect around your reputation, it will negatively affect your own self-image, at the same time affect how much you make in the marketplace. Why? Because I always fondly say that when you see somebody making more money in your industry, in the marketplace, among many other things that they have been able to put into play, one major thing that they bring into that marketplace is what I call reputation capital. And your reputation capital, you are the one to build it. And there are inputs, there are environments that either they are contributing to build that reputation or they are destroying that reputation. And so you don't rise from a new mindset alone. No. You also need the right reputation in order to rise. And the kind of things that you consume from your immediate environment affects your reputation. That's why I said control your reputation input. You can be in the wrong environment and you make up your mind to control your reputation input. Now, that's why I always say that you can live in the wrong environment, or you can live in an environment that kills destiny, buries dreams, but you can rise from that environment and live your destiny and live your dream. Why? Because you created a controlled environment around you that positively enhanced your reputation, that now created a good reputation capital that you now use it to rise to your next level. Let me give a practical example. You see, my journey started in a town called Kumbo, for those who are non-Cameroonians. Kumbo is the second chief town in the northwest region of Cameroon. And Kumbo, like many other towns in Cameroon, almost have the same environment that controls people. And you see, I travel a lot. I've gone to many cities around the world. And one thing that I like to do research about is when I go to a city, I like to observe what is the environment in this city that can easily catch somebody's dream. For the little time, sometimes I just spend a few days in the city and I fly out. But I like to find out because it's a powerful concept and it's a powerful force that many people have not discovered. What I'm saying is that many of you, the environment you are in right now, if you are ignorant of this, it is keeping you in a cage right now, an invisible cage. But the impact of that invisible cage is so visible in your destiny and what you're building. You see, so I grew up in that town. Kumbo started the things I'm doing right now from that time in Kumbo and so on. But I was able to discern that. I always fondly say that if you want to stand out in your generation, find out what everybody else is doing in your generation and do the opposite. Find out what the popular majority is doing and do the opposite. You're going to stand out effortlessly easy. Very easy. Because what everybody else is doing is what is keeping majority in bondage. And those inputs are forming a negative reputation. And with that reputation, they can never rise above that environment. It could be cultural things. It could be social clubs that don't add value. It could be alcohol. It could be immorality. It could be different things. Every environment has theirs. You see, and if you're in that environment and you're consuming the same thing, it could be all these funny movies that they act and it doesn't stimulate somebody's thinking, all this funny music that the rhythms and the words that they repeat in this music only talk about either suffering or drinking and chopping life. Those kind of music keep you in bondage. Those type of things. Music for the masses, music for people that attend the school of the poor. So as long as you consume things like that, they keep you in bondage. refine it and reverse engineer the whole thing. Because if you consume that same thing, that input will build a negative reputation that you can never use it to rise out of that environment and build things at a high level. You see? So, what you're consuming from your environment, it's either keeping you in the same bondage like everybody else, or you become a rebel of that environment and consume something different. So you can build a more powerful reputation that that environment cannot keep you in bondage. It cannot keep you in the same bondage. It's very important. You can have the desire to travel the world out of your country and truly create impact, influence, and build wealth. But the point is, the reputation inputs that you're consuming from your environment cannot power that desire. So you are like everybody else with a strong desire that will never materialize. So you need to shift. So what I'm going to ask you is, what are the inputs in your life that you're consuming that are contributing to a reputation, a mental reputation, a voice reputation that can give you the ability or the access to break out of that environment and rise to a whole new level? It could be as simple as making up your mind to start learning from experts who earn what you want or who are making the impact that you desire. You see, one major way to rise from the current environment where you are is to start learning from people who are either not in that environment or who have destroyed that environment. Learn from them, and what you will learn from them will build a reputation and a weight in your mind, in your human spirit, that by divine design, you see, there is a divine law at work which states that when you grow in wisdom, when you grow in your ability to build, when you grow in your ability to have a deeper light, the divine law is that nations will come to your light and kings will come to the brightness of your rising. It's a divine law. So when you begin to consume reputation inputs, that impacts your reputation both internally, mentally, and how you communicate on the outside. It gives you the access, the authority, the power to break out from the same environment that keeps people in bondage. You see? So it could be as simple as making up your mind that I am not conscious that I need to build a reputation. When I'm having a spiritual class with those who are mentoring, I talk about spiritual reputation. It's not a teaching for this, but there is a spiritual reputation that you must command. That's why I always tell people that, like in traditional church setting, there's a prayer point, people pray for divine helpers. No, the law is that build a spiritual reputation and a mental reputation, and then kings will come to the brightness of your rising. Somebody who is spending time and praying for divine helpers, and somebody who understands how to build spiritual reputation and mental reputation will attract what they call divine helpers faster than somebody praying. You get the concept? Because it's a divine design. Number 5, start reintroducing yourself online and offline. If you're going to shift your self-image in your industry, that will impact how you create impact, influence, and income. Pay the price to reintroduce yourself online and offline. Like, write a new profile about yourself. Many of you don't have the right way that you have communicated to the public in a way that the public should see you. And as long as the public keeps seeing, you see, 99% of my strategies I teach are from the Bible, right? So, I mean, the most powerful business strategies that people pay me to teach, they're from scriptures. Now, to explain this better, God asked Abraham to change his name from Abram to Abraham. And Abraham means father of all nations. But you are barren. It was a code, it was an activation. You see, so you cannot upgrade your self image in your industry in a way that it can affect the impact you create, influence you wield, and how much you earn as income without also taking a bold step to develop an authentic, real, don't lie in your profile, don't lie in your biography, don't lie in your pitch, don't lie in that, but you genuinely update your bio, your pitch. Your pitch is, if somebody asks you in 2 minutes, in 1 minute, tell me what do you bring to the table as value as a professional in your industry, what do you say in 60 seconds? That is your pitch. Your bio is much longer. Update how you show up in different rooms. Because it's a law that the more you begin to act based on where you're going to, the more you begin to sharpen your conviction and your internal belief system to believe faster. If you only think and talk about who you want to become and you're not acting towards it, you never internalize and become that person. But somebody who is acting towards that path, he or she becomes faster than somebody just thinking and talking. So when you update your bio, you have a real valuable pitch that you can talk about yourself in different rooms, and you update how you show up in different rooms. It could be how you dress, the things that you say, and the type of rooms that you show up in. It becomes critical for your self-image in your industry. Hear me very well. Never forget this. You don't get paid more until people see you as more. You don't get paid more until people see you as more. So you don't get paid more until people start seeing you that you have become more in terms of impact, in terms of value, in terms of self-image, and in terms of the kind of contribution that you can bring to the marketplace. And people cannot see you as more until you start seeing yourself that you are more. So go and work on this. The seed points to update and then we round up is raise the room you allow. What does that mean? Raise the room that you allow. What that means is that if your current friends, that's a room, either a virtual room or a physical room, but the people that you frequently communicate with and talk with and sit with, those are different rooms. And if those rooms are small rooms, you have two options. Either to raise that room and influence the people to grow to that level with you, or you leave the room and find a room that is more bigger and more powerful than you. Why? Because you cannot fix your self-image in circles that reward smallness. Your friends celebrate smallness. Your friends celebrate comfort. Your friends celebrate likes and comments. The things that your friends celebrate, it portrays how small and how limited they are. And your self-image can never be fixed in that kind of a circle. You need to outgrow performing for the wrong people. You need to outgrow communicating a lot for the wrong people. So you need to come to a place where if the room keeps shrinking, or if the people around you, they keep shrinking and they remain small, you need to learn how to make a bold step to leave the room and find a different room. Because you see, if you want new levels of influence, you will always need new circles of people. If you want new levels of income, you will always require new circles. As simple as that. So raise the room. You have to do that. Pay the price and begin to work on that. We have to spend some time to do this. Because if your self-image is wrong, you can work hard for 10 years. Again, like I said, this issue of I teach this better when I know that I'm in a pure kind of like Christian spiritual community, right? Because there are more deeper things that I don't know, and everybody is not a Christian, may not be a Christian from the same religion and things like that. But when I teach this in my community where I mentor entrepreneurs and professionals who are purely Christians, we go deeper on this. But this concept is both merging professional perspective and spiritual perspective. And I can explain with the spirituality of high-level relationships. You see, many of you, if you go practice these things, you will begin to notice that the kind of people that you draw into you, you see, it's not that difficult to attract the right people into your destiny that can contribute to your rising. It's not that difficult. The difficulty is in you working on your spiritual reputation and your mental reputation. Like I always say, many people in this journey of life, many people in destiny, they are not underpaid because they lack skill. Many people are underpaid because they are running the old identity that keeps limiting how much of impact they can make, how much of influence they can wield, and how much of income they can begin to make. If you work on these things and truly shift this self-image, it will mark the beginning of bigger breakthroughs and bigger elevations in whatever that you do.